Welcome back to another episode of Spare Talent Show. Today in this episode, we are going to talk about digital career, personal brand, and content, and all such stuff. Now, the thing is, every 6 out of 10 people are opting for digital courses, digital career, digital marketing. Now, why is it happening so? What's the scope of it in the future? Why is it so trendy? Why everyone is building their own personal brand? Let's break down all those questions in this episode. And for this, we today have an incredible guest connected from Australia herself through Zoom with us. Her name is Petra Singh and she is a strategic personal branding coach and also a speaker, consultant, and also a beautiful host of a podcast channel called as Future of Work Campus. Taking this conversation forward, please welcome Petra on Spare Time Talent Show. A warm welcome to you, Petra, on this show. Let's start with sharing what's your podcast all about, Future of Work Campus.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I love that topic that we are discussing because it's very relevant and definitely something that not many know the ins and outs. So I'm really looking forward to pick it apart. Now, the Future of Work Campus, it actually is a quote unquote byproduct of the COVID-19 virus. Because what happened last year was that so many of my candidates from my recruitment times, which was, already 3 years ago, said they've either been stood down, they've been made redundant, or they want to take this opportunity to do something different, but they didn't know what else to do. And then they asked me, what are good careers to prepare for the future of work? How can we stay relevant? And what I've also experienced from teaching at different universities and higher education schools was that there is often a mismatch between what is taught to what is required in the quote unquote real world. And this is how I came up with the concept of the Future of Work Campus. So we equip professionals with skills that are required in this fast changing world of work, mainly soft skills like communication, conflict resolution, but also how to build your online presence, how to network the right way. And we do this by bringing in experts from the industry who live and breathe this area of expertise every single day. And on top of that, we also teach how you can actually market and sell your point of difference, your personal brand online. Because it's one thing to have all those qualifications. It's another thing to be able to communicate it in a way that resonates with those decision makers. And this is what the Future of Work Campus is all about. It connects traditional learning and academia with the real world and what's required right now.
Oh, that's great, wonderful. So where did this idea came from? Like it was pre-planned, or you just went with the flow?
It was not planned at all. I never wanted to do a membership in my life. But what happened was I developed an online course for all of my candidates who lost their job or who want to do something different. And there's nothing out there that helps you to transition careers. So first we started with what we called Agile Career Course. So finding out what are your strengths, what is the market demand? How can you even read market trends and develop careers and opportunities based on what's relevant right now? And how can you then position yourself? And then once we finished those 5 weeks together, everyone asked, so what's next? And I said, there is no next. I didn't plan anything next. And this is when I realized this is an ongoing topic here. We need to constantly develop and evolve in our career and skill development, because that's the only way how we can stay relevant. And this was how the Future of Work Campus was born.
Oh, that's great. It's a proper journey then.
It was. But, I think also, as horrible as COVID-19 is, it also opens up new opportunities for those to embrace, to see what we can actually do. And for me, being here in Australia, as you mentioned, more specifically in Brisbane, Queensland, it is a very much a face-to-face state. People want to have personal contact before they do business with you. So it was a bit of a slower start, how we can actually build businesses. However, now being able to offer an online platform, we can connect with people all over the world, and we don't have to have the face-to-face interaction.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like we are connecting right now.
Exactly. And this is the best thing, because the future of work is all about not just learning from this one person, but learning with and from each other. And this is how we can fast track our own learning experience.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, like you are posting so consistently on Instagram, then one question pop out in my head that why people are so opting for personal brand, and like what's the difference between brand and a personal brand?
That's a good question. Well, your brand is your point of differentiation. It is
Okay.
an experience or a memory that others have with you. So you want to be known for something bigger than your job title. So for example, we've been seeing for quite a few years already that technology can replace certain professions. For example, accountants, even though they're very highly regarded profession, but it follows a step-by-step process. So you don't want to be known as an accountant, because that means you're easily replaceable by somebody who is cheaper, faster, you name it. You want to be known for personality and traits and characteristics that no one else can compete with. Because all of a sudden, when you are known as the most reliable, the most creative, the something more personally known as a trait, you can use those skills and use that in other industries or professions that are relevant at that stage. So yeah, this is what a brand is all about. And it doesn't matter if it's a company brand or a personal brand. It still goes the same way. What are those values that you want to be associated with, and also what you want to portray? What do you want to be known for?
Okay, so coming back to the topic again, I just want to ask you, in this sort of situation, in this COVID post-pandemic situation, what do you think, what career you would suggest to pursue anyone, irrespective of their someone interest or passions in?
Well, that's a great question. And so many are concerned that they don't find, quote unquote, the right career for them. And I always say, based on research that we see and based on the technology trends, you're not just going to have one job for the rest of your life. You probably have 5 different careers, not even just different jobs, but proper different careers, which means you need to change more frequently. You don't need to find, quote unquote, the one thing, because you're going to evolve anyway. So what you want to try and focus on is identify what is it that you're naturally good at, what is it that people come to you for, but also what is it that you enjoy and what you're naturally interested in that you could do 24/7. So it could be you realize that people come to you because of your great organization skills. Everyone asks you to organize their kids' parties, their family parties. So you are good with organizing, you're good with people, you're good with spreadsheets, you're good with time management, you're good with delegating. These are traits and characteristics that you can apply in project management roles, for example, but also as an account manager in an agency. So it's about taking it a step deeper and see what kind of qualities is it that I use on a day-to-day basis, also in my personal environment, not just in a professional setting. And how can I make that a career? How can I make money with that? Because people are looking for those kind of qualities. And this is also much easier, especially if we don't have the experience yet in this industry or profession, to fall back and say, over the last 3 years, I've organized like 50 parties. It doesn't matter if it was for my friends and family or it was in a professional setting, because it still follows the same rules. And with that, you can storytell. And this is exactly what sets you apart from everyone else who's got all the qualifications, who's got all the years of experience, but no one can compete with your story. Yes. And then at the other hand, looking a little bit more pragmatically, you also want to look into trends. Right. So digital roles don't go anywhere, but they are evolving. Like I started my career as a marketing manager, and the task that I was looking after back then versus what marketing managers do now, they're pretty different. Like we did billboard advertisement and TV commercials and radio. How many organizations are actually doing this anymore? Hardly any. There are now social media platforms, digital communications, Facebook Lives, and so forth. I didn't do this. So it's all about being also and staying curious what is happening in the industry.
Right. But why people are moving towards, there is a huge shift between digital. I mean, why you think digital career will mostly make it in the future rather than most of the career?
Yes, well, because technology just fast tracks trends, and we are getting used to the convenience that comes with digital and technology. So people also change their consumer behavior and their expectations on organizations. And if organizations can't meet those expectations, they are eventually going bankrupt. So what organizations are looking for is those up and coming skills that they can then use to create a commercial outcome, a service or a product or a platform, whatever it might be. So this is why it's so important, especially if we are in the digital marketing or the technology space, to constantly stay curious and also think laterally. I'm not sure if you've heard the term lateral thinking. It's about identifying what works in one industry or profession and also understand why and how can I apply that in my industry or company or in my profession. So, for example, I always take Netflix as one of my North Stars. What are they
Okay.
doing right? They are growing rapidly because they are personable. So you can determine what you're watching, when you're watching it. It is affordable, it is entertaining,
Yes.
and this is what keeps our attention. So how can we apply that concept to education? Because we know we have to learn more. How can we make it more personable and not just have one curriculum applied to every single person, no matter where they are? How can we make it also enjoyable? How can we keep people's attention? And how can we make it affordable? Because so many higher education, especially universities, also here in Australia, they are so expensive. And
Right.
so many degrees are irrelevant in the next 10 or so years. So why would we spend, $60,000 on a degree that doesn't actually get you anywhere? So how can we apply what works in one industry and apply it in another industry? And this is how we can innovate without having to recreate the wheel from scratch, but simply apply this tested and proven concepts and principles.
Okay. But there are a huge lot of things. It's a huge segment of digital career if we went into. So, like, what do you think? What has the more chance or more scope? Like in digital marketing, there is SEO and a whole lot of stuff. So, what do you think? Which you must have a stand on in a digital career? What is that career or what is that segment according to you?
So I think in digital, it's all about those human skills that we can apply. So content creation is a big opportunity because we still come up with new ideas, with creativity, with new designs and concepts. So how can we apply that in this one of the fastest and fastest growing industries, content marketing, but also analytics? It's not about running reports and having more data. It's about making sense out of the data and then apply it and turn information into insights. So what does it come down to? Again, critical thinking. It's a human trait. So even though I use technology, I use my human skill set in a different way to get even more out of it.
Right.
So content, analytics, but then also product development. I think this is one of the fastest growing professions out there because it connects actually three skill sets. It's creativity. So how can a product look like and how could I market it? But also technology or the technical side of things. What do I need to do to make it work? Plus commercial understanding. How many units do we need to sell to actually get out there? Who would be strategic partners who we can liaise with to spread it even further? So there are three skill sets that go into product development. Again, very human traits, but it's all about the connectivity of ideas and thinking and people with each other. So yeah, if I would have to pick any of those three, it would be those.
Okay, that's great. So, talking about content, I got clicked about the content creation workshop which you held recently on your site, I guess. Actually,
Yes.
unfortunately, I didn't got a chance to attend that. So, can you just throw some glance that what happened in that workshop?
Absolutely. I've realized that so many, especially digital and technology professionals, struggle with putting themselves out there. They struggle with marketing and selling themselves.
Yeah,
They
true.
know everything, but when it comes to pitching themselves or showing that they are really good at what they're doing, there's nothing. So
Okay.
this is when I came up with the idea, how about we run a content workshop for the month ahead, because it also takes out the guessing in the second you have to post something, and we're all busy thinking on the spot on something amazing that's educational, inspiring, entertaining. It's hard. So what we
Yes.
do in this monthly workshop, we plan content for the entire months ahead. So what
Okay.
we do, we look into three different stages. First, what are the themes for the month ahead? So thinking of May, what are key themes and trends depending on where you are? So in the Northern Hemisphere, spring is coming. We can talk about spring cleaning, getting rid
Okay.
of old files, for example. So we want to tap into consumers' mind. Here in Australia, for example, we're getting into autumn and winter. So we've got a different spin on it. Then we look into personal key dates or professional
Okay.
key dates. Do we have an anniversary? What happened last year? What's been big changes? Do we have a promotion coming up that we want to talk about? Do we
Okay.
have an event coming up? Do we have a big launch that we want to get people excited about? So we also want to look at those key dates. And then lastly, the third part, we fill the rest content pillars, meaning what are those 3 to 5 big content topics that I, as a personal brand, want to be associated with? And I also need to alternate content types that I put out there, that I'm not getting boring. So if I would only educate about the 3 mistakes, the 5 steps to the one thing to never miss, people are getting over it. So I also need to alternate it with conversation, left or right, true or false, simple answers to keep the algorithm also happy. And then lastly, it's also about putting some personality in there. What kind of personal stories or experiences can you share that would connect you with your audience and make you more personable and also more memorable? Because everyone can educate, but again, nobody can compete with your story. So this is how we map out an entire month of content, and we will never run out of ideas.
Okay, but in case when people run out of ideas, so what's the strategy you apply to create a content, and how consistent is maybe?
Yes, consistency is so important. This is, I always say, the quality of output depends on the quality of input. So it all starts with, firstly, knowing what your 3 to 5 content pillars are and sticking to them. So for example, for me, it is personal branding, future of work, LinkedIn, and learning and development. If I would talk about sunscreen and then dogs and then food and then gym, people wouldn't know what I'm all about. So even though I'm interested in a personal sense, I'm not sharing that. So I know those 4 big topics. What kind of podcasts do I need to subscribe to? What kind of books can I read? What kind of influencers and authorities can I follow? What kind of hashtags are relevant to get the right content in? And it's also then setting up a filing system where you save those ideas. So when it comes down to content creation time, you can fall back on something and don't have to start with a clean slate. And hardly anyone, even the most creative people on this planet, wouldn't start with a blank sheet and try to come up with something amazing. It doesn't happen.
But like you said, you are planning for so much of content, and I believe ki every work gets monotonous as the time passes, right? So what is that motivation that helps you to do so about a daily content? Because but obvious numbers never motivate, right? And also as a creator, it must never. So what's that
Yes.
something which helps you to stick to this all those things?
Yeah, well, great question. I'm never motivated either. I've got routines that I'm not questioning. I've got early mornings. I'm not always motivated to get up, but my routine gets me up. So this is also why I bulk produce content and batch content. So when I sit down for a couple of hours, I do the entire months already ahead, because I know it can get busy. I can get unmotivated. So I'm just putting those 2 hours aside and purely dedicate to content creation. So we don't leave it to chance if I feel like doing it. It's just what I'm doing, because I know how important consistency is to build your brand. Also, why does McDonald's or Coca-Cola or Apple, why do they never stop advertisement, even though they're one of the most well-known brands worldwide? Exactly. It's all about staying top of mind. So I can't show up 3 weeks in a row, 6 times a day posting and then nothing for 3 months. People are like, what's wrong here? So you can't build this trust and this consistent showing up. And this is exactly what builds relationships. So this is why I haven't missed a post in probably like 6 years or 7 years.
Okay. I was just wondering who is a personal brand in this advertisement world. Like mine, personal favorite is of course Netflix. Then there are many things. Gary Vee is my main personal brand marketer. I really love him and his content. So what about you?
There are many. So I think Amy Porterfield is one of my heroes, because what she does so well is she dissects every complex topic and makes it very step by step. And this is what I enjoy. This is how I learn. First you do this, then you do this, and then you finish up with this summary. So it's also this, constant repetition of the same message, but it takes us like 7 to 15 times to hear the same message to actually remember it. And I think it's a great learning style. So I learn a lot how I can share my message without getting boring while still having the repetition from her.
Okay.
Jasmine Star, she's great. She shows up every day with reels and videos and lives. She's constantly out there, even though she's a massive introvert and I'm a massive introvert. So it's just very inspirational. Yes, that those people show up and you can learn from those people. So there are quite a few exceptional personal brands out there who we can learn from.
Yeah, that's great. So one last question, and we'll wrap up after this. So as the shows goes, spare time talent. So what you do in your spare time which helps you to keep productive?
Many things. So I love exercising for two reasons. Yes, it keeps my body fit, but also it keeps me sane. So I go to the gym, I go for runs, I swim, because this is where I come up with the best ideas. It's usually when I get stuck with work or a project and I just don't have the answer, I get my body moving, because it also helps you to get blood flowing, and this keeps everything active. So I exercise a lot, but I always say the gym is my second office, because this is where most of my work gets done. And also taking notes. So sometimes the best ideas come when you don't expect it. So you want to have your phone ready or a notepad ready to simply write it down. So when it comes down to, say, content creation or solving a problem for a project that you've been working on, you've got it ready. And this is my way how I can stay productive. And of course, probably lastly, it's also dedicating time to do certain things. So I've got 2 days where I don't have client-facing tasks to do. So I can create content, I can record podcasts, I can develop content for online courses, but it's not necessarily client facing, because this is a different kind of problem solving mode that I would be in. So it's also knowing what drains your energy, what energizes you, and how can you create a workflow that actually keeps you kind of in balance.
That's great. That's great. Really wonderful. Because you are so busy, still you manage to do all those things. That's great. So that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show. And guys, do listen a podcast. A podcast is best. I have heard one of these podcasts, and I will post all the social media and in the description below, so you can get in touch with her. So that's it. Thank you. Do you want to ask something or have something to say on the show?
Yeah. No, I'm really very grateful that I could be on the show and that you're sharing this message, because I think what you're doing, everyone needs to hear. And the earlier you can start taking control over your career, invest in yourself, because this is the best investment you can ever have, the better you will be off. So thank you for stepping up and taking the lead here and inspiring so many.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's hope so. It happens soon.
It will.
That's it. So yeah, that's it. Then thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.